Prepare yourself for Earthling Entertainment with your hosts, Joe and Ryan.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Earthling Entertainment with Joe Wakefield and Ryan Lang.
I have no memory, but they tell me I'm Joe Wakefield.
I am quite certain I am Ryan Lang.
Hey guys, and this is Earthling Entertainment. What is Earthling Entertainment? Well, what we do here is a little bit of the creepy, a little bit of the spooky. Sometimes it's cryptozoology. Other times it's myths or curses or legends or ghosts. Good old-fashioned ghost story. Can't say no to that. And then we have a segment called Disclosure Discussion. And that one is all about aliens.
I'm just asking questions, extraterrestrials, interdimensionals, any UFO stories, UFO sightings, abductions, contactees. That's what we talk about.
And the latter half of the show is dedicated to all things entertainment. So we usually have headlines. Sometimes we do celebrity deaths. Occasionally we have a fun trivia game or an interview from someone in the film industry. But it's all awesome entertainment. And those two things together, the spooky and the entertainment put together, make Earthling Entertainment, our show, the delectable Oreo of ear knowledge you're getting right now. Welcome.
Welcome to the cookie of the spooky.
That's right. And so, guys, if you like what you hear today, or if you've just been a long-term fan who hasn't done it yet, please download the episodes. That is the best way to support the show right now. You can do that anywhere you listen to the podcast. If there's an option to download the episode, even Audible, please do it. That will help us out greatly.
You wouldn't want to miss out. I'm telling you.
All right, guys. Well, we got kind of a long show today, so we're going to jump right into our first section. Spooky stuff.
The Leviathan. An uneasy feeling rises in your stomach as you watch the waters begin to churn from the bow of the ship. You embarked on your journey through the Mediterranean with an uneasy feeling, and the events taking place before your eyes only serve to make you feel more uncomfortable. You watch as two beams of glowing light pierce the surface of the water. As the sea begins to boil, a feeling of defeat settles in your heart. Already, you could see the armored scales rising from the depths. Leviathan is upon you. Your moments are about to be your last.
Oh no, that would be scary. If I was in the deep water and I saw any, because everything in the ocean's so much bigger than us that it's just horrifying. Especially, the Leviathan is known to be like one of the biggest things. So that would be even scarier than a whale. And I don't even want to see a whale swimming under me.
I was going to say, I would think I would even be freaked out by whales. Like if I were in like a kayak or something like that, that would be like the equivalent of how big the Leviathan is to a like normal little ship. Like a big ship. Like it's huge.
It is. Well, I mean, just even a whale, like you said, is scary though, because recently I heard a story of this woman and she's, scuba diving, and this whale's kind of like pushing her along with its nose, like nudging her and like kind of like keeping her like under the arm of a fin and just kind of not necessarily killing her, obviously, because she's okay, but very scary. This giant animal's like trying to like shove you and push you, and then come to find out she was being stalked by a tiger shark, and the whale actually was protecting her.
That's amazing.
Isn't that crazy? Nature, man.
Whales are so fucking smart. Like they are something else. At one point, that used to be a walking creature on land, and now it is a whale.
What? No,
Yes.
The opposite. We all come from the water.
No, I'm telling you, whales come from they were on all fours. I forget what they're called, but next podcast, I promise I'll have that for you.
Okay,
it is
all right.
100% true.
So you're talking they come from the water, come out, turn into land animals, and then say, fuck it, and we go back into the water.
Like, yeah, there's a lot of other bigger guys out here. We're going to go in here and become that bigger ourselves.
Okay, so that would be the explanation of why they breathe oxygen and not...
Yep.
Okay, so the mammals of the ocean, you say, return to the sea.
I believe so.
All right, I'm going to give you the opportunity to look all that up and tell me by the next podcast. But until then, jumping back into the Leviathan, a giant, scary creature.
The tale of the Leviathan has been a source of curiosity among many Christians and non-believers alike since the inception of the creature was expressed in the pages of the Bible. Leviathan is known to be a fearsome primordial being that ruled over all other creatures of the sea. There are varying descriptions of the origins and intent of the creature in history, though most would agree that Leviathan is dangerous and capable of terrifying destruction. The Leviathan is known to be an enormous sea monster that was one of Yahweh's, the Christian God, original's creations.
Yeah, I didn't realize that the Christian God actually had a name. It's Yahweh, and I thought that was really funny because there's this scene in an X-Men movie where Apocalypse is like, "I've been called by many names," and he uses Yahweh as one of them, and that
Huh.
that finally makes sense to me, Ryan.
Thank you, X-Men.
Back
Te-
to the Leviathan.
Teaching us Leviathan Bible history. I made a mark. There it is. There were several other creatures of equal power that were created, but the Leviathan was known to be the most dangerous of them all. There are many different theories as to what inspired the tales of the Leviathan, but most are centered around demonstrating the almighty power of Yahweh. It is also possible that Leviathan was adapted into Christian religion as a way of making it easier for people of other cultures to convert to Christianity.
That makes sense. Like, put a giant dragon in there. Then we'll get them pagans.
I mean, maybe who's piqued my interest. This is a popular theory because of ancient myths and legends from cultures that predate Christianity and tell the tale of a mighty sea serpent that is overcome by a benevolent protective deity. This also causes some to wonder if the tale was inspired by a real creature that was interpreted differently in various religions and cultures.
I gotta be honest, that would be amazing. Like, if you were able to go back in time and find out that some of these mythical creatures like really existed, I would be so happy to find out that there was giants or dragons. That
I
would
believe
be
they did.
great. You know, I believe it's totally possible. I absolutely want to believe that they do.
And if they died, the sea would claim them. And that would be that. We would never know.
Yeah, well, true. Also, you have to imagine the ocean floor, like of bones laying on the ocean floor for long enough, it would, if they didn't decompose, it'd at least sink into the soot. You'd imagine.
Well, and it gets eaten by all the bottom feeders.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, whale carcasses become like a huge party under the water.
Under the sea, dun, 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 dun,
Eating
dun,
this
dun.
whale.
Eating a meat. Dun, 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 dun.
Eating the meat. Yes. Good job, Joe. It is thought that Leviathan was created as one of the first creatures and was one of 3 primordial beings that could hold great power on the earth. Behemoth, a bull-like creature, was given dominance over the land. Ziz, a dragon-like creature, was given reign over the skies. Lastly, Leviathan was given rule over all the seas, though the Mediterranean was to be his home. The mighty Leviathan was thought to be the most powerful of these 3 creatures. This is possibly because of the dangers that are associated with the sea, and possibly because the Leviathan was known to be destructive while Behemoth and Ziz were peaceful creatures. I didn't know that Behemoth was peaceful.
Yeah, there's a lot of stories about Titans actually not being like, they're just like, leave me alone. I'm just doing my thing. Like, let me roam this mountain range. Why are you trying to attack me?
Yeah, I mean, it's because you're scary.
There's a whole video game called Shadow of the Colossus where you like murder 16 or like 13 Colossus, like these giant creatures. And then at the end, you find out you were tricked by an evil demon and the Colossuses were Colossi. I don't know. They were keeping him held back. So then you fucked up.
Classic.
You fucked up and the bad guy escapes.
Classic. Just like the Dark Brotherhood story in Oblivion. That's exactly what they did to you.
There you go.
It is thought that Leviathan was created as one of the first creatures and was one of 3 primordial beings that... Oh, I already said this, didn't I?
Yep.
In the beginning, there were supposedly 2 Leviathans, a male and a female. They were made to keep each other company in the seas. As time went on, however, it became clear that both creatures could not be allowed to survive. This was supposedly because the Leviathan would take over and possibly devour the world if they were able to create offspring.
Yeah, can you imagine like a plague of Leviathans?
No.
Yeah, they would eat the world. That is such a dramatic, that is a metal statement.
Dude, they would... That is pretty...
They would devour the world.
Leviathans eat the world and all the Carnival cruise ships. Just saying.
Those are pretty cool, like water slides and such.
Right into his gullet.
Oh no! But would they really eat the world? Because if you think about it, they ate everything on land. I mean, everything on the water. Does the Leviathan come on land? No, it's a sea serpent. So would the whole, I don't know, ecosystem of land animals break down because all the sea animals were dead, or would the Leviathan find a way to get up on land? I don't know. I'm reading too much into this.
I don't know. Yeah. I thought about it, and I don't know, Joe. That's interesting.
All right. I guess I thought too much into it. Continue.
Blew my mind, man. Alternative versions also say that it was only necessary to kill one of the Leviathan because it had been corrupted by an evil entity, causing it to lose its gentle nature and become a creature of great destructive power.
Turned it into a dick. That's what it did.
To preserve the lives of his other creations, Yahweh descended to the earth to destroy the female Leviathan. There was a great struggle between Yahweh and the female Leviathan because of her great strength. However, because Yahweh was all-powerful, he was eventually able to kill the female and save the rest of his creations from destruction. The male Leviathan is bitter because of the loss.
Because you killed my wife, bro.
Because of the loss of his companion.
Yeah, you were right to be bitter.
Like, what the fuck?
Like, dude, I had a pretty dragon serpent lady, and you just gone and unalived her right there, you jerk.
Like, what am I? That's so sad. That's so sad because he's like the last of his kind. And awaits the end times when he will battle with Yahweh. After killing the female Leviathan, Yahweh used the skin from her corpse to create a beautiful canopy.
As one does.
It is known that the Leviathan has one of the most
that's
beautiful
fucked up.
skins.
After God murdered my wife, he's like, this would be good to keep the sun out of my eyes. Let me just do a little bit of stretching of the leather. And
just classic God stories,
Yeah.
The Leviathan has one of the most beautiful skins of all Yahweh's creatures, making this canopy especially exquisite. Under the canopy, a feast.
Yahweh's a dick.
A feast made of flesh from the beast lays on the table. It is said that when the righteous are taken to paradise in the rapture, they will sit down with Yahweh under his canopy and feast upon the flesh of both Leviathans and Behemoth.
All right, dude, I got to be honest. I didn't give Christianity enough credit. That is metal as fuck.
This is pretty fucking metal.
God kills this giant dragon lady, makes a tent out of her skin, and then, all right, you guys, when all you get raptured, we're going to eat this fucking Leviathan steaks under the canopy of the skin.
That's right.
Oh, man, that meat has probably gone bad in the 4 billion years that the earth has been around, though.
No, they just cut off just enough, and they keep her alive.
You know, it's
They've been
fucked
carving
up
on her for centuries.
Dude, you know what's fucked up? I wrote that in a script, and it was a bunch of high school students doing it to a fat kid in like a dystopian thing. Yeah.
Goddamn, Joe.
Well, they needed the fat to melt down into biofuel to run their diesel engines and charge their batteries. It's all science, Ryan.
It does make sense. It checks. It makes perfect sense, Joe. I'm not going to argue with you, man.
You guys are going to love that book when it comes out.
I know
Continue.
we all will. Yeah, we're all going to love it. Yahweh.
Anyways,
Yahweh.
Yahweh instead of anyway.
Yahweh also used the remaining skin of the Leviathan female and used it to make garments of light for Adam and Eve. Although they had
Hold on, I didn't hear that one either.
Never heard of that.
That is awesome.
Although they had been disobeyed the will of Yahweh from eating the forbidden fruit, Yahweh helped to ensure their protection on earth by giving them these special clothes.
Dude, my Sunday school teacher sucked. She did not tell me that Adam and Eve had dragon cloaks when they left the
robbed. Yeah, I had to go to church and shit. There was never. This song is not in that hymnal thing.
Yeah, they cut this out.
Yeah,
I bet it was the King James Bible. He cut out a lot of good stories.
Jerk. Many creation tales that reference the Leviathan say that Yahweh made the creature along with Ziz and Behemoth as a way of demonstrating his mighty power.
Look how mighty I am. I make big monster.
That's pretty powerful.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair.
Yes.
I haven't made a big monster.
A golem. By creating the most powerful creatures on land, in the seas, and in the skies, Yahweh showed his great power, which helped to humble the rest of his creations.
Seems unnecessary.
Like this
I
guy's
am
sort of a jerk.
I am God. Bow before me. No, I make giant dragon. All right, I'll bow. All right, that was pretty badass. I'll give it to you.
The Leviathan, however, posed a special sort of problem for many early peoples. It was the only one of the three creatures that was known to have a destructive nature, and was largely regarded as an evil being. In addition to being extremely dangerous, the Leviathan was known to be impossible for man alone to defeat. Legend tells us that the Leviathan was at least 300 miles in length. The exact size of the creature was unknown, because the size of the Leviathan was too big to be comprehended by man. This mighty sea creature was known to have a hot temper that was feared by all, and armored scales that made it impossible to kill the beast. In fact, the scales of the Leviathan are said to be one of the most impressive qualities of the creature. Many creation myths claim that the Leviathan had a double layer of armored scales that protected its flesh. These scales were layered so closely together that not even air could get through. Though these details tell us that the beast was mighty, it does not give much insight into what type of animal the Leviathan might mimic. Many theorize that the beast is likely a large serpent or dragon. Others believe that the Leviathan could be a large whale.
Yeah, see, a large whale makes the most sense to me. In Disney's movie, which was, what was it?
Pinocchio?
No, not Pinocchio. That was a giant whale. No,
Yeah.
they did Disney's Atlantis, the Lost Empire. They made the Leviathan this giant robot that was protecting Atlantis that the Atlanteans built.
I like that.
Yeah, so maybe it's a giant robot, just throwing it out there.
Spooky.
Yeah. Probably not.
Curiously, the Leviathan has more than just fearsome characteristics. It is also known for its strange beauty. The mighty sea beast is
That is one sexy serpent.
that sexy sea beast is also known to have qualities that are fluorescent in nature. Its eyes are said to have a dim sort of light that is thought to intensify if the head of the Leviathan breaks the surface of the ocean. Its skin also
Yeah, you mean the water doesn't dim the light? That makes sense.
Yep. Its skin
Yeah.
also has
That's how lights and water work. Yep.
Yeah, that's how that works. Its skin also has a beautiful glow, especially its flippers, which are known to have what appear to be halos floating above them.
That's an interesting thought.
Perhaps most terrifying about the Leviathan is that this creature is not necessarily evil, but does enjoy chaos, especially among Yahweh's chosen creatures. The Leviathan was a creature that was terrifying to all because of its many abilities. It was known that the Leviathan could breathe fire. When the head of the creature broke the surface of the waters, flames were said to shoot out of its mouth and nostrils.
Okay,
Flames,
well that supports the robot theory.
yes, it
Like
does.
or like an alien spaceship or something.
Right, because how they couldn't explain any kind of projectile back then. They would say fire. It's
Oh.
fire. Flames also shot out from its eyes when above the surface. The monster's heat abilities are not limited with this, however. The Leviathan was known to be able to make the water around itself boil. This allowed it to kill its prey and generally terrorize humans. Additionally, the beast was known to have extremely foul breath. Its odor was essentially poison. Any creature or person that encountered the breath of the monster would die. These are passages in ancient texts that suggest the Leviathan would kill every living thing in paradise if allowed in, just from the smell of its breath.
Holy shit. That would give this Leviathan a tic tac.
That was like a thing with the Kraken. Was the first sign would be the bad smell. It would be its breath.
Well, there you go. Maybe it's the same creature.
Maybe.
I don't know. The idea that it would could breathe out like a noxious gas is also a sign that it could be an artificial machine or something, because you think of the poison gases that come out of volcanoes because it's just burning. So it's like if it was some kind of exhaust, maybe that could be.
Honestly, that tracks. I like that we're going with it's totally a robot.
because of Disney's Atlantis, the Lost Empire. No, it's also Little Ancient Alien, guys.
Although many Christian scholars would maintain that the tale of the Leviathan is true and that it was original to their religion, there are several other earlier stories from other cultures that make this questionable because of the overlap that many have come to one of the two conclusions. The first conclusion is that Christians use the tale of the sea serpent being overcome by an all powerful deity to help people from other cultures have an easier time converting to Christianity. This is likely conclusion because there are many similarities between the stories. Additionally, Christianity is known to have used this technique before to convert non believers. The second conclusion is that there was a sea creature that lived during the time of these ancient cultures that inspired these tales, which I believe. While some theorize that the Leviathan was inspired by a creature that no longer exists on this earth, others believe that the monster may be an exaggeration of creatures that can be found in modern day. Leviathan is portrayed in several religions and is known for all these religions to be in mystery and intrigue.
It makes sense that they're like, okay, well, we think it's like a giant, squid or a crocodile or something like that, like just blowing up a version of an animal that freaks us out and being like, that's what it is. It makes sense because they have to, you need some kind of description to kind of wrap your head around a creature. You know what I mean? Like what are you imagining?
It would be terrifying to, not have any idea what you're seeing and like see a whale for the first time. Like if you've never seen
But
a
at
whale
least
and
you
you've
could
never
as-
even heard of one,
But you could at least associate a whale with a fish. It still looks like a fish.
right? So you would just be like, "Holy shit!"
Yeah. But if you saw like a wall of flesh because it's 300 miles long,
Christ,
you know what I mean? Like you'd have,
like
especially if just part of it was popping up because you wouldn't have any idea what you're looking at.
I think I just peed a little, just a little. The mighty beast is typically only mentioned a few times in each text, likely so that the followers of these religions are able to understand its power, but not confuse its might with that of Yahweh. Although,
God, the old god was so jealous.
well, yeah, that's like the main quality of old gods. Although the Leviathan is most commonly recognized as a Christian monster, it can also be referenced in Judaism and Satanism.
Woo!
Satan. In Christianity,
To keep with the theme.
right. In Christianity, the Leviathan is known to be a mighty beast that was created by Yahweh to show his great power over all living things. However, this was not always the case. It appears that early Christianity may have referenced the Leviathan as an evil entity, almost equivalent to a god. This powerful entity could only be conquered by the mighty Yahweh. From this point, Leviathan eventually became a demon beast that could only be conquered by Yahweh. Finally, Leviathan is recognized as a ferocious beast. While this beast was terrifying, it was not as powerful as an entity or demon would be, and was easily tamed and defeated by Yahweh. So we get a little bit of back and forth there.
Yeah. They're like, look, it's a giant monster, but ain't no god.
It is partially because of the changes in the Leviathan narrative that many people believe Leviathan was adapted from other religions or cultural mythology. It is thought that Leviathan would have remained the same throughout Christian storytelling tradition if it was a legend that originated with their religion. However, Leviathan was also adapted other meanings through the Christian religion. It is thought too that the creature may also be one of the 7 deadly sins.
That's an interesting take. Like it's the embodiment of I assume they'll tell us, but like wrath or whatever.
Gluttony, wrath, yeah. Those who follow this interpretation believe that the Leviathan is the demon of, envy. I didn't think that one.
Oh, yeah.
There are also those who do a step further and claim that the Leviathan is an alternate image for Satan himself. And I have actually heard that before.
That would be crazy, right? Like everyone thinks of Satan as, a red guy with horns living in like a lake of fire. But what if hypothetically, it's all real and you go to hell and you're there and it's kind of like an underwater realm with like a giant sea creature as the devil? That would be fucking
And it's
strange.
just a giant whale like, hello, Satan.
Well, I mean, I assume it would be a lot scarier than that, but yeah, fair enough.
Hail Satan. Anyways.
Oh man, you look nothing like the horned goat statue I've been praying to.
Ooh, ooh.
Oh my god, can you imagine a bunch of Satanists like doing like chants of like whale songs
Oh
and
my
stuff?
God.
Like a whole group of guys in cloaks being like, ooh, ooh. Like our favorite movie is Star Trek 4, The Journey Home.
Yes, yes, and our favorite band is Gojira, Flying Whales. Flying whales.
Ooh. Be like, are we afraid of Satanists anymore?
No, not really. They're pretty cool. They like whales
I
and
mean,
stuff.
they keep going after saving the whales. Like it's a weird platform for an evil organization, but I'm for it.
It's like on today's episode of, well, I just figured out I was a Satanist.
Oh my god.
Judaism offers even more insight into the Leviathan and to where it originated. There are a few conflicting tales, which may be due to differences in translation, that speak on Leviathan. One of the first references to the Leviathan tells us that the creature is a female dragon who lives in the depths of the oceans, sometimes referred to as a watery abyss.
I
This,
like that's the Satan realm, right? Like
Yeah.
the watery abyss is
Yes.
where I go when my soul is get num 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 souls.
That's right, from the abyss. This creature will be served up at the end of time and feasted on by the righteous.
That sounds so fucked up. Like,
Like-
the righteous will eat upon the flesh of one of my original creatures I've created.
Yes, I must.
God.
I must consume it, become a part of me. It's fucked up. Other
It feels very less spiritual than other shit I've read in the Bible. I will say.
It seems a little tribal. Other versions of Leviathan claim that the beast is male, like Christianity. This version tells us that there was once a male and a female Leviathan, but the female was killed to prevent the two from creating offspring and devouring the earth.
Yeah, that's the story we heard.
Yep, that tracks. It is thought that the flesh of the female Leviathan was given in part to the Hebrews as food in the wilderness.
See, that's so the 40 days and 40 nights, or was it 40 years? I don't know.
I forget.
After they flee Egypt and the manna that they ate, because in the Bible it says that they eat manna, it's fucking Leviathan flesh.
I hear it's good with pickles and mayo.
Oh,
Pretty
you can
good.
make a great schmear with it. Put that shit on a bagel. Oof. Yeah.
Little chipotle.
Yeah, you think salmon and lox is good? This is the way, bud.
Nummy num num num, Leviathan num num num. The Jewish texts also give us insight into the biology of the beast. Apparently, the creature eats one whale every day to sustain itself. In fact, the whale that swallowed Jonah narrowly escaped being swallowed by the Leviathan. The most interesting piece of information, however, concerns the fears of the mighty beast. Although many texts claim that the Leviathan couldn't be killed by anyone but Yahweh, Jewish texts still tell us that one fear of the mighty creature was the kilbit.
All right.
The kilbit was a type of worm which was able to kill large fish by clinging to their gills. This suggests that Leviathan was vulnerable to attacks, though undoubtedly, if the beast were to be killed in this manner, it would be by the will of Yahweh.
All right, so that's hilarious. So there's this, it's like a Godzilla type creature, but he's just like, no, man, you got to keep that one little thing away from me.
I ain't fucking with no parasites. Fuck that.
It's like us going to the Amazon and peeing in the river and getting that little fish
No.
that'll swim into your urethra. It's like, we are human taken down by little spiky fish.
Don't take that piece.
Dude, this supports that hell is the depths of the water, because there's some scary things in the water I don't want to be a part of.
Absolutely not. And that is not our realm. Like,
That's why it works for hell. Exactly. We weren't made to live there.
right.
Everything would eat us or be terrible.
It's basically like, yeah, just like, let's go to space. Would be like, let's go to the bottom of the ocean. You're not going to live.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, let's say if it is the underworld and you're being punished, like the pressure hurts, the everything eats you hurts. To being wet all the time, like our skin wasn't supposed to be that way, so that would hurt. Everything would hurt.
They say like within like 3 days or so of basically like floating in like salt water would basically begin to, your skin will actually start to literally deteriorate.
That's so horrible. Okay, moving on.
Lastly, a scholar by the name of Abraham Isaac Cook describes the Leviathan as a singular creature.
And Cook knows Leviathans, all right?
Gotta ask Cook. Its tail placed in its mouth, twisting around and encompassing the world. It is thought that this is the representation of the systems of the world. The circular nature of Leviathan indicates the balance that can be found in Yahweh's creation. Leviathan is also mentioned in the Satanic Bible. In these texts, it suggests that Leviathan is associated with the water element, being the ruler of the seas, and western directions. The mighty beast is thought to be one of the 4 crowned princes of hell, as well, a powerful and respected position. Like,
Uh,
oh yeah, he's high up, man.
Yeah, so Leviathan's actually a big part in satanic thoughts, I guess.
Yeah, my man's got some brass.
Yeah. He's like,
Interesting.
oh yeah, he's up there with Chad and Daryl, man.
That's right. He
Yeah.
takes that elevator to the top floor. Interestingly enough, the Leviathan is also commonly associated with the Baphomet, a deity.
Bahamut?
Baphomet.
No, Baphomet. Because in my head, it's always the Final Fantasy character. Continue.
Negative. Nope. Baphomet. A deity supposedly worshipped by the Knights Templar. It is shown in the Satanic Bible that each of the points on the sigil of Baphomet was a representation of Leviathan. Over time, Leviathan eventually became associated with the creature known as the Hellmouth.
Cool. You know, that's the city where, Buffy Summers is from in the Buffy the Vampire Slayer show. They say they're under the Hellmouth.
I wonder why they call her the Hellmouth.
No, they call the city the Hellmouth.
Oh.
Yeah, there's a lot of horrors.
My brain went on a different route. It is thought that the Hellmouth was the mouth of the fearsome beast that was supposed to rise up during the end of times. It is thought that the damned and the non-believers will disappear into the Hellmouth during the final judgment.
Okay, see, that is another cool thing that I've never heard. So all the good people get raptured and fly up to heaven, but I didn't hear about this mouth opening up the ocean, sucking up all the bad people. That's awesome. Can you imagine? Like, there's just this weird wind and everyone's getting pulled, and we're like, what? And it's this giant Leviathan in the middle of the ocean just breathing all of us sinners in.
Like,
num 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 sinners.
I'm having like a little Nicky moment, like, oh my God, Christianity kicks ass. Those who believe Leviathan is associated with this creature claim that after the damned have disappeared into its mouth, Yahweh will descend upon the earth to have a final battle with the Leviathan. After this battle, its flesh will be served to the righteous.
Again.
Num 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 num
They're
num.
all
Leviathan.
about eating this thing, man.
It's like, I'm gonna eat you. Like, don't do it. Nah, I'm gonna. Like, what the fuck? There are many explanations for the myth of the Leviathan. The creature is known by many names in many cultures and has inspired much fear because of its great power.
And that is the tale of the Leviathan. Honestly, I thought I knew what the Leviathan was. I thought I knew, I didn't. I had no idea it was even associated with Christianity in any way. I knew it was a giant sea creature.
I didn't know at all it had to do with or Judaism. Like,
yeah, I didn't know, because that makes it theology, not mythology.
Right. And the fact that, because I honestly knew it as a Satanist thing just because I listened to a lot of metal.
That makes sense. Music on the duck side.
So I've always heard of, Leviathan being like a personification of Satan, like in our realm, but as like a giant whale. So that's that I've heard.
You know what? I've heard of that, but I heard of that from same thing, kind of, a cartoon Metalocalypse.
Oh,
So-
yeah.
They had the giant whale god, and they decided to make an album that was only for whales. This is for fish. It's not meant for humans. And then they record it on water.
That's right. That's right. They did start to record things on water, and they had to like melt half of the earth in order to do it.
Oh man! So if you guys are a fan of over-the-top metal kind of culture, look up the show Metalocalypse. It's a cartoon. It's from Adult Swim. It lasted 5 seasons, and they recently released a movie that completed the story. So it does have a beginning, middle, and end, but it's over the top. It's a lot of fun. It's brutal.
Yeah, it's brutal. And the guy Brendan Small, who does the music tours, I got to see him last year performing, as Death Clock, and obviously they have all the screens going with all these cartoon shit going on, so it was really good, and it was an amazing show.
You know, he did a show before that. Do you remember the show Home Movies?
I do.
He did that one.
Well, yeah, that was Brendan.
Yeah,
That
that's
was
what I'm
like
saying. It's
literally
Brendan Small,
about
yeah.
him growing up.
It's crazy.
I
Anyway,
love that show.
I love that show too. It was a good one.
Coach McGurk was my first introduction to that voice.
John
actor.
Benjamin, the actor John Benjamin, who does a lot of voices. He voices characters.
Bob's Burgers.
Bob's Burgers. He is Bob. He's also Archer on Archer, and
Yep.
he plays the convenience store clerk in Family Guy.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. He is. That's right.
You know, he did a great show called John Benjamin Has a Van, and it only lasted one season. It was on Comedy Central, and it was kind of like a news van where he was going around doing interviews or doing other things, but it was basically a sketch show, and that was kind of like the framing device. And then suddenly the episodes started connecting, and it got really weird. But I'm a big fan of John Benjamin.
Yeah, me too. Like I said, that's Coach McGurk. You brought up Home Movies. I'm like, oh man, he used to crack me up.
All right, guys. Well, that's it for this week's spooky stuff. We hope you enjoyed it. We enjoyed telling it.
Yay!
And just remember, download the episodes. Anyways, we're going on to our next section.
Support.
Ryan's Disclosure Discussion. It's about aliens and stuff.
Flying saucer for sale. This comes to us from coasttocoastam.com. Argentine Facebook users looking for a bargain on the website's marketplace feature were left scratching their heads over a listing by an individual who was trying to sell a flying saucer.
Yeah, if you got one and you don't need it, why not sell it on Facebook Marketplace? It seems like we thought disclosure would come from our government doing this big release or a UFO landing on the White House lawn, but no. It comes from some dude trying to make a buck because his crashed UFO, you don't need it no more.
I think Mark Zuckerberg just screwed it up because we all know Mark Zuckerberg's an alien. He's extraterrestrial.
This is his ship.
Yep. So, he just screwed up the algorithm. We humans weren't supposed to see that post. There are other aliens here, and they have their own section of Facebook. So that would have been just normal for them.
Oh, right. So what you're saying is the creator of the app was trying to, that was the just for aliens. It's kind of like OnlyFriends, but it's only aliens.
Yep, that's right. Yeah,
okay.
yep.
I get you. Sorry. It took me a while. Like, I feel like it took a walk around the block to get that joke, but I got there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
The peculiar post seen below showcased the alleged craft sitting in a grassy field and reportedly explained that the seller wished to unload the UFO.
I don't need it.
Which was said to have been from 1996. A good year. Good year for UFOs.
Yes. Vintage, if you will.
Indeed. Further details in the ad included that the flying saucer had racked up a whopping 3.8 million miles on its proverbial cosmic odometer by way of 6 trips to the moon and 2 to Mars. I mean, that's honestly common. That's not too bad.
Well, we should do the math sometime to 3.8 million miles. So, like, if you actually measured, like, how far the Earth was from the moon, does that all work out?
I don't know. I don't know if that tracks or not.
I got to be honest. I should have done it before the show because I'm not going to try to do that math right now. But
yeah, screw that.
Yeah.
The seller went on to assure would-be buyers that the engine does not smoke or vent.
Oh, good.
Though lamented that the stratosphere and the troposphere has
hold on.
troposphere.
The stratosphere and the troposphere.
And the troposphere had stripped the craft of its paint.
Oh, see, that's why we were thinking spaceship words. They're not. They're talking about the actual like atmosphere and stuff. Yeah. All right. So got it.
This is all totally believable.
All right, you know what? You know what? Start that sentence over. I want you to try those words again. I have faith.
Damn it. The seller went on to assure would-be buyers that the engine does not smoke or vent, though lamented that the stratosphere and the troposphere had stripped the craft of its paint.
See, aren't you glad?
Sort of. That said, the alleged owner of the flying saucer boasted that it sports the ability to capture 17 cows per minute, but cautioned its future pilot to not try to take any other animals.
Only cows. It's made for cows.
I'm assuming there's good reason. Indicated that they would accept no returns. The seller listed the rather reasonable asking price at around $380 for the UFO. That's not bad.
It's not bad at all.
That's a trip to Kroger.
It kind of it is, man. Groceries are expensive. It kind of feels like, though, obviously, it's probably a joke. But what if it isn't, Ryan?
I don't think it is.
Can you imagine a like a government agent be like, yeah, I'll buy it. They buy it. They're like, holy shit, dude, there was a gray in here and everything.
I believe my theory is correct. There are aliens that have their own section of Facebook where they can talk about alien stuff that they don't want us to know about, and this just kind of slipped through the cracks. It happens.
Yeah, it got into the American. I shouldn't say
Into
the human section.
Yes, into the human section, and
silly goose.
And we're the humans that are not allowed to know. There are some that do.
Dun dun. Bum, bum. Yeah, I agree. I do. I think it's fun, the idea that the military is far advanced than we think they are as far as space colonization. Like, we have a base on the moon and we have a base on Mars. I'm just saying, that's my favorite, the government's doing stuff we don't know theory.
Once they hit the red button and martial law is imposed, we will see the floating tanks going down the streets.
Oh,
That's
no.
when you will start seeing all the hover technology, everything
all
like
us
that.
sheeples will be left on Earth to work to feed the colonists on Mars and their utopia of space. The sons of bitches!
They refuse to show their hand until it can be used against us. Ba, 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 cha, ba, ta, ba, ba.
All right, and that's it. That was a little bit of a short disclosure discussion, but there you go.
It was a good one.
It was a good one.
Earthling Entertainment Special Report. The Despicable Me franchise is the first animated franchise to cross $5 billion overall. That's 6 movies and $5 billion! Way to go, Illumination. Keep making movies. Hopefully your Mario 2 will have more plot. Yeah. This has been an Earthling Entertainment Special Report.
And with that, we get to our entertainment section. So we hope you enjoy this week's
Music Mumbles.
The Extra Man in Black. This comes to us from loudwire.com. It's not uncommon for a few guests to be around for recording sessions, but Black Sabbath had a surprise visitor during the recording of Sabbath's Bloody Sabbath. Speaking for the reunion CD liner notes, Tony Iommi recalled their sessions at the Clearwell Castle in Wales, explaining...
See, that makes sense that a castle would be haunted, I just want to say.
100%. Explaining that the band spotted a spectacle visitor one night. Let's also not mention that they were on so many drugs.
Listen, just because I'm on drugs doesn't mean I didn't see a ghost.
Right. And I want to correct that earlier I said Sabbath's Bloody Sabbath. My mistake. I added an S. It's the album Sabbath Bloody Sabbath, which is a great album, one of my favorites.
Excellent.
We rehearsed in the armory there, and one night I was walking down the corridor with Ozzy. We saw this figure in a black cloak. I said, "Who's that?" And Ozzy said, "I don't know." We followed this figure back into the armory, and there was absolutely no one there. Whoever it was had disappeared into thin air, Iommi recalled. Iommi says the people who owned the castle were well aware about the ghost.
Oh, yeah, that's Casper.
Yep, that's Casper.
He's friendly. Don't worry about it.
Is he, though?
Well, Casper is.
It's been a few years. He might have changed.
Casper, you got pissed off overtime ghost.
Let's face it, we all do.
Yeah. He's like Bill Nye. He's slowly lost hope in us.
He really he's an angry person now.
Yeah. He's like, I tried to teach all you kids and you grow up and you suck now.
He's just stomping on you. Bill.
Bill Nye, the pissed off guy.
Bill.
Damn it. Anyways, back to Black Sabbath.
So the people who own the castle were well aware about the ghost, as I'm sure they were, but this was a surprise to the band. They did have some fun with their encounter. We spent the rest of the time trying to frighten each other by rigging up all these devices. In the end, we were all petrified, and we had to drive home every night rather than stay there.
Imagine a bunch of people on drugs trying to set up weird, goofy, jackass-type booby traps
I'm not gonna fuck with it. I gotta get out of here. Like, I couldn't even imagine either. Yeah, no, I'm not doing that either. He says, in the end, we were all petrified. We had to drive home every night instead of stay there, but that defeated the object of it all. Black Sabbath's lyrical content has taken a trip to the dark side in the past, but Geezer Butler revealed that his fascination with Satanism once took a scary turn that left him a little frightened to dig further.
Part 2, Satanism.
So, Satan. In the linear
In the context of metal.
in the context of all the metal. Let's face it, Satan has the best tunes.
I asked my really religious aunt once. I even said that because I was joking, because she was like, you should listen to this. And I'm like, Christian music sucks. And she's like, yeah, well, it's because Lucifer was the head of the choir of angels, so he makes better music. And I've never heard a religious person say that before. And I'm just like, good for you, religion. Way to have a reason.
Hey, yeah, they just said that. Yeah,
I'm not saying I buy it. I'm saying, hey, you addressed it. I had a question. You actually had an answer. Well done.
It's like, hey, man, did you see that Satan's on tour?
Yeah. I bet that would be a hell of a show, man. Can you imagine?
Like, yeah, it was like everyone's wearing Lucifer t-shirts. It'd be a whole thing. Here we go.
Oh, we just lost like 50 followers.
Oh, it's all. We're just talking. We're just talking smack. I mean, we're talking about Black Sabbath here, for God's sakes. This is like the creators of dark rock.
It is.
In the liner notes for Sabbath's reunion CD, the bassist recalls that he had been reading a weekly magazine called Man, Myth, and Magic that delved into the topic of Satan. He also was reading books by Aleister Crowley and Dennis Wheatley, and had really started to immerse himself in the ideas of Satanism. I'd moved into this flat, and I'd painted black with inverted crosses everywhere, Butler says. He recalls...
just as like a design aesthetic.
Yeah, very feng shui.
I'm not saying you should do this, but if you're gonna do it, and you're painting your crosses upside down, use glow-in-the-dark paint, especially if it's on a black background. That would be some trippy shit.
It would look so good.
It would look like the most bad taste haunted house ever. I'd love it.
Like, and those kind of people, yeah, they don't call it a living room. They're like,
welcome to the parlor.
Ooh.
That's how they talk. Yeah, that's the words they use.
I love it. I love the people who, because mudroom is a room, but I still love it when people call a mudroom a thing, because it's just like, oh, you mean this little entryway here, this little room for our shoes? Oh, a mudroom.
I actually never heard that.
Oh, yeah? Fair enough.
So he recalls.
I have nothing more to say.
Oh, yeah. So Geezer Butler, the bassist of Black Sabbath, recalls, Ozzy gave me this 16th century book about magic that he'd stolen from somewhere.
As one does.
I put it in the airing the airing cupboard because I wasn't sure about it. Later that night, I woke up and saw this black shadow at the end of the bed. It was a horrible presence that frightened the life out of me. I ran to the airing cupboard to throw the book out, but the book had disappeared. After that, I gave up all that stuff. It scared me shitless. Quote.
Well, that was clearly the book manifesting itself as an entity, and it was able to escape. So, way to go, dude. Letting more evil into the world.
Well,
dick.
Yeah, you listen to, Ozzy did a song, even in his solo work, about Aleister Crowley. He's done tons of, talking about the occult.
Sure. You know what my favorite Aleister Crowley reference is? There's this wonderful Canadian show. It lasted 2 seasons, and then it did have an ending to the show in an animated film, and that is Todd and the Book of Pure Evil. Well, in that show, they call it Crowley High School.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And it's funny because the town was founded by Satanists, and all the Satanists are now in a retirement home, and there's this book of pure evil that they're trying to get the hold of. But the pure evil one, Todd, who is destined to be the pure evil one, it keeps running into the book, fighting against his evil destiny, and thwarting the book's adventures each week. It's quite, I am endorsing this show. Screw it. This is a good show. You guys look it up. I don't care if you have to find a DVD. It is great. Todd and the Book of Pure Evil. And the movie was Todd and the Book of Pure Evil, The End of the End. And I got to see the premiere while I was living in Los Angeles. It was right on Hollywood Boulevard. And Jason Mewes was outside the theater, and because he plays a character in the film and in the show, and I was able to get a selfie with him. It was really fun. Yeah.
Nice.
Remember that guy? Remember that gal? Well, now they're dead.
Shannon Doherty, Beverly Hills 90210 actress and TV icon, dead at 53. This comes to us from Rolly.com. Shannon Doherty, the actress behind culture-defining projects like Beverly Hills 90210, Heathers and Charmed died on Saturday after a years-long struggle with cancer. She was 53. It is with a heavy heart that I confirm the passing of actress Shannon Doherty on Saturday, July 13th. She lost her battle with cancer after many years of fighting the disease. Doherty's longtime publicist, Leslie Sloan, said in a statement to People on Sunday, the devoted daughter, sister, aunt, and friend was surrounded by her loved ones, as well as her dog, Bowie. The family asked for the privacy at this time so that they can grieve in peace.
So I liked Shannon Doherty because I was introduced to her early because of the movie Mallrats, because she played
Yep.
Jason Lee's girlfriend. And that was my first thing. And then later on, I dated a girl who was really into Charmed. That was like high school. So I was always aware of Shannon Doherty, and I always liked her. I
Yep.
heard she was a bit of a handful on set sometimes, but, you know, everything I saw, she was a good actress.
Yep, I knew her from Mallrats, from that. And then I remember from Charmed, she kind of got like a creepy, like, reputation almost. So then she became the host. Wasn't it called, it was the show where they would go into places with cameras, like, you know, where they had the cameras facing you.
Dude, I have no idea what you're talking about, but
I think it was called Fear
I
or
could
something.
guess. Oh, okay.
I think that was it.
Like an MTV
Or
show.
was it Scare? No, sorry. Scare Tactics. It
No,
was the
Scare Tactics was a sci-fi show that
and she was the first host for it.
the first host.
I believe so.
I know eventually Tracy Morgan did it, so I don't remember who the first host was.
I believe it was her.
Well, anyways, I cool.
That's like I said. I remember seeing her on that. It was the pranking sci-fi show.
It does stink because I know Kevin Smith eventually was going to do Twilight of the Mallrats, which, you know, it was going to be a movie, then it was going to be a streaming show. Who knows what it'll end up being? Who knows if it'll even come out? You know, that's the beauty of being an artist, is you have a lot of ideas and not all your ideas pan out. Trust me, I can contest to that. But I know Shannon Doherty was down to be in it, and obviously that can no longer happen. So that's a bit unfortunate.
Man, fuck cancer.
I will
Right?
agree. I've had a few family members that unfortunately went that way. It's terrible, and it's
We're aliens not meant for this earth, Joe. That's why. That's why we
Yeah.
get cancer.
Oh yeah, no. The theory is if we were on Mars, that we would be farther away from the sun's radiation, and that would be less cancer that way. Also,
Yeah.
our circadian rhythms, I believe that's what it's called, are basically natural sleep cycle sets to like the orbit of
Mars.
Yeah.
I've heard that too.
Yeah.
Isn't it? It's
like it's
pretty
not
crazy.
24 hours, it's like 25 point something or whatever, and then that is the exact day that it would be on Mars.
That's what dude. That's why we get cancer. We're not supposed to be like we were dumped here for some reason.
You know, I should have looked up the story, but there's a story about there being a photo of giant spiders on Mars. And what if, Ryan, the giant spiders are why we left?
Okay, well then that tracks.
I don't know
It's
if
like
that
a little bit of
tracks.
cancer getting eaten by a giant spider.
Shannon Doherty, you will be missed.
It was better than being eaten by a spider.
Earthling Entertainment headlines.
We finally know when we'll return to Far, Far Away with Shrek 5.
Finally.
Shrek 5. This comes to us from Collider.com. The day has arrived. DreamWorks Animation has officially announced that Shrek 5 will premiere in theaters in the United States on July 1st, 2026.
Woo!
16 years after Shrek Forever. After
That's
Yeah.
the name of the movie.
I-
The fourth
yeah,
movie
sorry,
was
yeah.
Shrek Forever After.
I don't know. I read it as a sentence, and I'm like, oh, it's a name. Shrek Forever After marked the last time audiences saw the titular character voiced by Mike Myers on the big screen. A new adventure will entertain an entirely new generation of fans. The studio has also announced that Myers will return to voice the unpredictable ogre. Cameron Diaz will reprise her role as Princess Fiona, and Eddie Murphy will once again voice the friendly donkey.
Honestly, would you want it any other way?
Absolutely not.
Because, I mean, animated movies, sometimes you can get away with replacing a character. Like the latest Hotel Transylvania, Adam Sandler did not play Dracula, and most people didn't notice.
And Kevin
Hart.
No, the chubby white dude.
So not Kevin Hart.
Yeah.
Kevin James.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
The man. Thank
Kevin
you.
James.
Yeah.
Anyways, they did not reprise their role in that last Hotel Transylvania, and none of the kids noticed, and I'd say most of the adults didn't either.
So yeah, and I didn't even notice it. Yeah, I remember watching it and being like, wait a minute, that's not Adam Sandler. The dude nailed it.
He did nail it. You know who else is really good is, I keep thinking, what if Chris Farley, because he was originally supposed to be Shrek. I just keep thinking, like, what if the guy who plays Chris Farley in the upcoming Chris Farley biopic came in to do it if you were going to reboot Shrek? That'd be weird, right? That'd be like some meta thing.
That would be weird. And I remember I listened
Paul
to
Walter Hauser. That's the name of the gentleman who is playing Chris Farley in the Chris Farley biopic.
and I think we talked about it a couple episodes ago. And but yeah, no, that would be great. But yeah, I did get to hear a scene. You can look it up. There are a couple scenes.
Animatics of Chris Farley doing a scene from Shrek. Yeah,
They were really taking it a whole different direction. Like he was like
he was
upset.
Chris Farley.
Yeah, he was like upset with his parents.
Yeah.
Like that was like the whole discussion was that he was like a disappointment to his parents or something, and that really bummed him out. So like Shrek was a completely different character
And a
with him.
completely different movie it would have been.
Completely.
So what's in store for us for Shrek 5, Ryan?
Well, it's time to return to Far, Far Away, Joe, in what has become one of the most anticipated sequels in recent years.
I'm freaking anticipating it,
I'm
man.
so anticipating.
Anticipation.
The anticipation.
It's palpable.
During a recent interview with Collider, Eddie Murphy stated that he had been recording lines for Shrek 5 for over the course of several months. The actor also reminded audiences that a spin-off movie centered around Donkey is currently in development at DreamWorks Animation.
I would say we don't need that, but the Puss in Boots spin-off movies were actually really good. The last one was actually really good. It was Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. Whew. Honestly, great film.
I actually did hear it was
Yeah.
surprisingly actually like a really good movie.
Yeah, I have a kid, and I watch kids' movies, and
Oh,
let
yeah?
me tell you.
Me too. I missed out on that one though.
But you gotta watch it, dude. There's a wolf character who is the straight up death. He is the personification of death,
Nice.
and he is stalking Puss because Puss has used all 8 of his lives, and he only has 1 life left. So he is literally being stalked by the personification of death.
That's fucked up.
It's a great movie, man.
While Murphy believed that the sequel would be released next year, fans will have to wait until the summer of 2026 to see their favorite characters back on the big screen. DreamWorks Animation hasn't made any official announcements regarding the Donkey spinoff at the moment. After all, the studio is working on a wide variety of titles that will be released before Murphy's character has a chance to return. I always like the one meme where like it shows like all the different characters that have, done things, in regarding dragons, where it's like it shows the dude from How to Train Your Dragon, like, I rode a dragon, then another guy like I killed a dragon, another guy like I spoke to a dragon, and then it just shows Donkey with no caption. So you just fill that in yourself.
Yeah. Yes, Donkey having donkey children that are half dragon. I mean, that's canon. That is in that universe, man. He slept with that dragon somehow, or they have some kind of magical doctor who did insemination. Either way, there was some shenanigans.
There were some definite adult themed tunes going on there with some interspecies
Interspecies relationships.
relations.
I will say,
Interspecies erotica.
there's a lot of Kevin Smith talk in this episode. I love it.
I love it.
Yeah.
We're here for it. Yeah, that was a Kevin Smith reference from
Love you,
Clerks 2.
Silent Bob.
That was from Clerks 2.
Anyways, more about Shrek.
More about Shrek, you say. Well, it just so happens Shrek 5 will be directed by Walt Dohrn. The filmmaker previously worked as a writer for Shrek 2 and Shrek the Third.
Shrek 2, everyone's favorite.
Dohrn also served as the head of story for Shrek Forever After.
That was my favorite.
The release
Did you see Shrek Forever After?
I believe I did.
Okay, that's the one where there's an alternate timeline where he, like all the ogres, there's like a war and it's a dystopian future because he was never born.
Because he signed something with Rumpelstiltskin.
Exactly. That was my favorite. But everyone else's favorite is the second one.
Rumpelstiltskin's a good man. Big Daddy reference, Adam Sandler.
Yeah.
You know what's good in some yoo-hoo is some rum. It's all right. I'm going to continue with the article now. The release of the upcoming sequel will also line up with the 25th anniversary of the debut of the first movie. 25 years.
Yeah, we're not old. Don't worry about it.
which was released in theaters on May 18th, 2001. In that time,
We were freshmen in high school.
we were freshmen in high school, and I remember waking up to the DVD menu of just Donkey, pick me, because like we had like a sleepover and we would just put on Shrek because at the time that was the shit.
Well, we put on all different kinds of movies. There's a few menus. I remember the House of Thousand Corpses one was the one that I remember because that went on for like
shit the bed.
yeah, because the character talked to the screen for literally we timed it. It was like 25 minutes.
And it was hilarious. He's like, well, you've officially wasted my fucking time. And he like starts eating chicken, and then he just looks at you and gives you the middle finger. Like, dude, those were the great days of early DVDs when they were like, they would actually
Where the
make...
menus were more interactive and yeah.
And they
The
actually
menu
filmed
was
it.
the Easter egg. Yeah.
It was hilarious. Yeah. So in the wow. So yeah, 2001 is when it came out. In that time, the Shrek franchise has grossed almost $4 billion. So not quite at
Despicable Me did
just did
5 billion.
Yeah, just did 5. At the worldwide box office, turning the character into an instant pop culture icon, a spin-off franchise centered around Puss in Boots, Antonio Banderas. Also made its way to the big screen thanks to Shrek's success.
And that was very good, like I said.
Even if Shrek Forever After didn't receive the critical acclaim the first 2 installments of the series did, audiences have been eager to see Shrek returning to the big screen. However, DreamWorks turned their focus towards the development of franchises such as The Bad Guys.
I don't know why we're going to call The Bad Guys a franchise, because as far as I know, there's only that one film.
No, wasn't there a couple of them?
The Bad Guys?
I thought so.
No, it was like an animated film, and like the wolf was a leader, and
Oh, I guess.
they
Yeah.
were the group of bad guys.
Oh. I guess I don't know.
Fair enough.
There's also How to Train Your Dragon and Trolls.
How to Train Your Dragon's great. Do you know they're going
It
to make a
is.
live action version of it now?
That's sick.
Because it's based on a book series.
I love How to Train Your Dragon, and I actually like the Trolls movies. I'm not gonna lie, I thought they were well done.
Yeah, you've told me that.
Over the past decade and a half, they've been doing these different projects. But when a post-credits sequence in the recent Puss in Boots: The Last Wish teased Shrek's return, it was clear that the studio was ready to dive back into one of their most successful franchises. Shrek 5 will premiere in theaters in the United States on July 1st, 2026.
Yeah, and they couldn't have been more clear. Like at the end of Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, like he said, is they're literally sailing to a different place, and they're all like, "Oh, where are we going?" He's like, "I'm going to visit some friends," and then the boat's pulling up, and you see the mountain that says "far, far away." So it was kind of
Nice.
oh, I see what you did there.
Just fangirl screams in the audience. Just
Dude, there's some people who are just diehard Shrek fans. Like they came out when it came out at the right time for them. So it's like now they're gonna bring their kids. Because like let's be honest, that could be my kid's first movie. 2026, he's gonna be like 3 years old. Yeah, we might give it a go.
And why not? It's a great movie.
Yeah,
It's classic.
I think so. Unless they go really weird. Can you imagine like Shrek 5 rated R?
Like, holy shit.
They just take the Adult Swim and the route, and they're just like really crude, and suddenly there's blood and guts and just the complete opposite. Be like, why would you do this? Hey, it worked for the Meatballs franchise. All right,
That's
fair
right.
enough, all
Yeah,
right,
it's like, hey, we don't even care about getting a new audience. We want to play this for the old fucks that saw this movie back in 2001. That's for them.
I mean, Ninja Turtles is gonna do it. Their new film is gonna be rated R. The
It
Last
shall
Ronin.
be. I'm excited for that as well. That's I like that it's gonna be Ronin, and that's all well and good. But man, do I wish I could get all 4 of them together on the big screen. But maybe we'll get flashback scenes or something.
Maybe. But anyways, that brings us to our next headline. Actually, there's no good with segue for that. Hold on. You know what? I'm never going to see The Last Ronin on DVD. Speaking of the death of physical media.
Redbox officially shutting down, spelling the end of thousands of DVD rental kiosks across the U.S. This comes to us from IGN.com.
I want to get one of the machines. Think about it. Like you could put it in your house, and it would just be kind of like I have put all your discs in there, kind of like an old record player, and you could just pick the movie you want, and it pumps out the disc. It's so unnecessary, but it'd be fun for a man cave.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
That would be a funny thing to have. Yeah, I could see like a dude our age, like being rich, just be like, buy one of those.
Yes.
Like have his people buy it, and then yeah, he would totally have it set up like at his just because like hey, remember Redbox? Like pick
Exactly.
out pick
There are
out whatever you
people who
want.
have old pumps, gas pumps. So you're gonna tell me that there's not gonna be some nerd who's gonna get an old red box?
Right, old pinball machines, old what do you call it? To play music. Old
Jukebox.
jukebox. I don't know why I couldn't think of that. Jesus.
I don't know, Ryan.
I'm gonna jump into this article now. The days before I do though, my experience with Redbox was it was always scratched to holy hell. Every time I ever tried to get anything, each disc was terrible.
You know, it's funny. I actually have a pretty good experiences with them. I even bought some of the Blu-rays and DVDs off them because there was a while where I was just collecting things on the cheap, so I could get like the latest Marvel movie for on Blu-ray, and it was only like $5 because it comes in that little plastic case.
I remember that. I remember. The days of heading to the Red kiosk to rent a DVD are ending, as Redbox announced that after 22 years, it is officially shutting down. As Variety reports, Redbox's parent company, Chicken Soup for the Soul Entertainment.
Yeah, who knew that was a company?
No
Do
idea.
you remember those books?
I remember those books. Never read them, but I remember being
my
told
mom
I
had
should.
them, yeah.
I'm just like, no, I'm not going to read that. Changed its Chapter 11 bankruptcy case to Chapter 7 yesterday. As a result, Redbox will shut down all its DVD rental kiosks and streaming services.
By the way, this comes to us from IGN.
I already said that.
You did?
I totally did.
Excellent.
Redbox was launched in 2002. Redbox's DVD kiosk rentals were spotted at various locations, including fast food restaurants, grocery stores, and pharmacies. Its convenience and affordable pricing made it a widely popular among consumers, and 5 years after its initial launch, it would surpass Blockbuster in terms of number of locations.
Yeah, but that doesn't really
But
count.
I mean, it's just a box.
Yeah, exactly.
Right,
Like that's like there are more soda machines than there are bodegas.
Like, no shit.
Yeah.
In addition to movies, Redbox also offered video game rentals. Unfortunately, the company would stop video game rentals altogether in 2019. Additionally, Redbox delved into video streaming, launching Redbox On Demand in 2017 and Redbox Free Live TV in 2020. The
I guess
latter,
that's like Pluto TV.
yeah, the latter a free live TV streaming service with ads. Several months later, the company announced Redbox Plus, a yearly subscription offering subscribers incentives such as extended return times and 12 or 24 rentals.
Yeah, okay. So you pay a yearly fee for just free discs, essentially.
Yeah.
It makes sense. It's a streaming model, I guess. They were trying anything. You got to give them credit. They were fighting.
They gave it a shot. The announcement of Redbox's shuttering comes as physical media becomes obsolete in favor of digital-only options to obtain media. Streaming services like Netflix and Disney Plus have become quite popular with consumers, providing them with a vast library of TV shows and movies to watch at their leisure for a monthly or annual price. Beyond Redbox's closure, some retail stores are also changing their strategy on physical media.
Yeah, which is really upsetting to me because I am a fan of physical media.
We've spoke about it many times on this podcast that it's so important sometimes to own it yourself because you don't know what they can do. I suspect that whenever they want, they re-edit, they'll like cut out a scene in a movie that you like, and then they'll like throw in a deleted scene to fill in the time, and then you'll watch that movie and be like, wait a minute, what? Like, it's happened to me a few times, I swear to God.
Well, it's just a good reason why having physical media, just in general, is the way to save film and archive film. Because if like no one has the rights to a movie and everything's digital, then that means no one's playing the movie, and that movie essentially doesn't exist. So unless you have a physical copy of it, you just can't watch it. And there's a lot of films out there like that. Try to find Dogma. Try to watch the movie from Kevin Smith, Dogma. You cannot do it unless you have an old DVD.
Or I assume you could probably buy it on Prime, maybe?
No.
No?
That's what I'm telling you. It is not available anywhere digitally.
That's fucked
It
up.
doesn't stream anywhere. It's like it doesn't exist.
I wonder why.
Rights. That's what I'm saying. The problem is if this streaming site has all the rights to Bewitched, and let's say Bewitched isn't really doing well. So they're like, well, it's no longer worth paying for it. So now they stop paying for it and Bewitched goes away. Well, if no one else picks up Bewitched, then it's like Bewitched never existed because no one can watch it anywhere.
That sucks.
Yeah, and that could happen to any movie or any show.
All right. Well, let's go back into this story about the death of physical media here. Continuing. My gosh, it is a fucked up thing what we've allowed to happen now, and this how it is now. Like it's got good and bad to it.
Yeah. So if there's something you love, it might be worth picking up physical media just to, store it in case you ever want to watch it.
Because you never know. 10 years, 20 years down the road, no one knows who owns what, and we'll never see it again. Last April, a Target spokesman confirmed to IGN that it would limit the number of physical DVDs it sells in its retail stores. Last October, Best Buy revealed it was phasing out of physical media sales.
And which really sucks because Best Buy had the best Steelbook 4K sets. They would commission their own Best Buy exclusive covers. Oh, as a physical media collector, it was a big deal.
That sucks, man. Noting it would discontinue physical DVD and Blu-ray disc sales in store and online in early 2024. So it's probably already done.
It is.
So, how do you feel about the death of physical media? Feel free to message us on Facebook and let us know.
Yeah, because we want to discuss it because we're angry. It grinds our gears, darn it.
It does. I still have so many tubs just full of Blu-ray and DVDs and all
Me
that
too.
fun stuff. And when it came with the digital copy, I uploaded that onto my account.
Well, see, I did too, and there was a while where you could actually scan the back of the barcode of movies that you had, and you could get a digital version of it. Now,
Yeah.
it wasn't every movie, but at least 3 out of 4 you could. And I did that, so that's why my digital library is in the thousands.
Yeah, my library is huge because so many. You were the one who was like, dude, do you realize that you could be downloading that? You told me to do it. You were like, dude,
That
you should
makes
be doing
sense.
this. And I did. I was like, oh my God, you're so right because it's so easily accessible. We got kids, so it's when you got kids now I could I've got every movie I ever bought in my thing. So let's say I
But
can't.
see, that is why physical media is dying, is because the instant gratification of
Yeah.
us being able to do that and not have to go get a disc is why people aren't buying discs. And people aren't buying discs, which is why discs aren't getting made or sold. And it's the problem. But I get it. It's the most convenient thing. It's kind of like trying to say global warming is caused by car emissions. We should all get rid of cars.
Yeah.
You're not going to talk anyone into going back to riding a horse. They're
That
going
was
to be
a good-
they're going to be like, oh, no.
That was a good way to put it.
I got to drive 40 minutes to work. If I have a horse, I might as well not go to work.
I feel like we all took it for granted. We really did. The DVDs, the Blu-rays, and everything like that. It
was a time in history. What is it? Physical media, let's say early VHSs, Laserdiscs, they were out before we were born, but only by a few years. So we practically get to see the beginning and the end of an era, which is physical media.
which is people forget how satisfying it is to own one of your favorite movies. You know what I mean?
It's good to hold it in your hand.
It is, and you get to open it up. A lot of them come with books inside, with a bunch of little things. They come with behind the scenes features, all these things that are just like.
Even when digital has special features, it's nowhere near the amount.
Nope.
It used to be a selling point. You got a second DVD when you bought a DVD
Yeah.
of 6 hours of special features.
It'd be behind the scenes, and then you could get commentary. That'd be a whole thing, and there was just so much. It was so much better.
And you do occasionally get that with the digital stuff, but like you said, and I agree. Don't misunderstand. I'm not saying you're wrong, but it's just so easy to have every movie. I have
Yeah.
Fandango at home, formerly known as Vudu, on my phone. It has all my library, and then I also have Movies in Everywhere, Movies Anywhere, which has all my movies, and then even Apple and Amazon, because I linked all my accounts, have all my movies everywhere.
And when
Thousands of movies on any streaming site I could possibly sign into.
when we were kids, it was you owned the movies, and when it came to most TV shows, you couldn't really they didn't really sell series of TV shows really, so it was you were just doomed to whatever was on TV, whatever rerun it was. That's what you were watching.
No, absolutely.
like,
And then
now-
luckily when we became teenagers, you could buy seasons.
Yeah.
And then that was a game changer because you went and bought full seasons of DVDs and suddenly you could watch all your shows.
And now it's oh, do you want to watch
streaming,
SpongeBob? Do you want to watch any episode that's ever been released ever.
Without having to change a disc.
In 2 seconds flat. Oh, yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's crazy.
It's too easy now.
It's so easy. Like, kids are they have no idea.
But you know what, Ryan? You know what's not easy?
What?
Surviving in the woods by yourself. Yeah, it's something that I know you could probably do because you are an Eagle Scout, but I might find myself dead. And that kind of brings us to our headline number 3.
Nature is one mean mother in the new horror film Solitude. This comes to us from rumorg.com. There's good reason why reality game shows keep plucking contestants out of their creature-comforted lives of modern civility and dumping them into the great wide open. Mother Nature can be scary as fuck.
True.
That's literally in this. I love this article. The isolation, the scarcity of necessities, the lack of indoor plumbing. Such challenges are usually only made palatable by the promise of a celebrity or a big cash prize. In the case of Solitude, toss in the threat of supernatural entity, and survivor takes on a whole new meaning.
Yeah, it's like, oh, great. You have to eat bugs in order to survive because you can't hunt. Oh, and by the way, there's a banshee creature. You are the bug. You shall be consumed. I actually don't know if this movie is a banshee creature. I'm just saying.
I'll eat the bugs. Solitude is the latest collaboration from Jeremy Brown, director of the popular Friday the 13th Vengeance fan film, and Mick Strawn, production designer and genre favorites A Nightmare on Elm Street 3 and 4, and action films Blade and Mortal Kombat.
Doing some stuff.
Doing lots of stuff. The co-director's exploration of the wilderness-themed game show, whose contestants are plagued by a terror perhaps only perceived, is scored by legendary composer Harry Manfredini.
Yes.
Yes.
From Friday the 13th.
Excellent. From the press release, from the mind of Jeremy Brown comes Solitude. Follow the harrowing journey of Carrot Chase, a social media influencer, as she ventures into the wilderness for a survival competition akin to the History Channel's Alone. However, her solitary experience takes a terrifying turn when she believes she's not alone and a malevolent presence lurks in the desolate landscape. Battling the elements and her own fears, Kara must confront this supernatural force to survive. Solitude stars Sam Wren Vincent, the marvelous Mrs. Maisel, and the upcoming Joker. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that.
The Joker sequel, luck.Do.
Whatever.
Like that, yeah.
As well as the on-screen film debut of Larry Roberts and Dr. Nicole Appelian, real-world contestants on the hit History Channel series Alone.
Yes, that, what is it, Larry Roberts and Dr. Nicole. They were actually on the real show that's inspired this horror movie. So they're like, yeah, you're going to be in the movie. You know, the only other time I heard of this happening is I think it was like the first or second Survivor. There was a contestant who was on that show, and they gave her an acting role in Rob Schneider's The Animal. She was the love interest in The Animal. That's why you've never seen her before or since.
She was actually really good in that.
Yeah, that's what I said.
I
was surprised she didn't do more. But yeah, she was like a Survivor contestant.
And she was, not bad looking.
Yeah, well, as anyone who gets a leading part in a movie usually is.
So I'm going to go ahead and jump into back into Solitude here. We got one thing left. While the film's official premiere is currently booked for September 21st at the Bird Theater in Richmond, Virginia, with the potential streaming details all but certain to follow. Horror convention attendees can watch Solitude at various events, screening the film across the country, where it often picks up Best in Show awards.
Yeah, so it's doing really good on the theater circuit. Festival circuit.
Indie.
And long story short, it will obviously get distribution because it's doing so well. So even though there's no date for this movie to be released to the public yet, don't worry, you're going to be able to see it. And it sounds like a blast. I can't wait.
Me too. I love horror. I pretty much always go out to see whatever new horror is coming out. I just saw Longlegs. Before that, I saw Late Night with the Devil. Both were great films.
Late Night with the Devil was good, but you know what? It felt like an episode of Twilight Zone or something rather than an actual movie, because I just felt like I kept waiting for something to happen, and then as soon as something started happening, the movie was over.
Exactly. It
Yeah.
it wasn't bad, but
No, it wasn't bad at all. I actually did really enjoy it.
yeah.
It just felt, as I said, more like because like those episodes of Outer Limits or Twilight Zone, some of them they were like an hour long, so it was like they added an extra 15 minutes, and there you go.
Yep. And honestly, I will say Long Legs, I really highly recommend. It was
The Nicolas Cage film, the
I
new
hon-
one that's in theaters now.
I think I like that one better a little bit in a way than Late Night with the Devil, but that's just a personal thing. But yeah, I totally suggest both of them.
Yeah, the latest horror movie I saw was The Watchers, M. Night Shyamalan's kid. I've already talked about it, so I
Yeah,
won't do
you
it
told
again.
me about it,
But
yeah.
I do really like that one as well.
I gotta see it.
Yeah, man, horror movies are fun. And
They're
you know,
getting
when
better.
you find out a good project, you don't mind waiting for it. Like that Solitude film, we're gonna have to wait. No distribution yet. But sometimes the best times you wait, you get something great. Bill and Ted 3, I thought was fantastic.
Yeah.
And you know what else? Speaking of threes and waiting, looks like Euphoria might be coming back.
That's right. Oh, and I totally forgot to mention I also saw Immaculate, and honestly, I have to say that one is worth a watch, but It was a Sydney Sweeney. Anyways, Euphoria. Finally-
It's not immaculate.
Yeah, I thought that was Immaculate.
It was immaculate?
Yeah, with Sydney
Like
Sweeney.
an immaculate conception. Yeah, she was a nun.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Sorry. Anyways, really awesome transition. Euphoria.
Euphoria finally gets major season 3 update. This comes to us from Collider.com. After years of waiting for the next season of Euphoria, the show has received a massive update. According to The Hollywood Reporter, the third season of the successful HBO teen drama is scheduled to start filming in January of next year. Cameras will start rolling about 3 years after the release of the second season. While the gap between installments might be longer than viewers would have liked, the fact that the filming date has been set by the network is game-changing for the third season of Euphoria. The strikes organized by the Writers Guild of America and SAG-AFTRA last summer were some of the causes for the delay.
All right, I want to interject here. Other causes for the delay is the Austin, I believe his name's Austin Cloud. He was a main character in the first 2 seasons, unfortunately passed away.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, he died of an OD only like a few weeks after his father died, which, he was very close with. So unfortunately, it did look like that it was an accidental OD, but he did die.
Oh, man.
And yeah, so they even dedicated that vampire movie Abigail after him. In the credits, they say like for Austin Cloud. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, anyways, what happened is I thought that this show wouldn't come back because they released all the actors from their contract. And usually when that happens, it means you're not coming back
Yeah,
because
that's that.
to renegotiate everybody, one, they usually want to get paid more, and two, everyone's schedules is out of whack because you lose a job, you're trying to look for your next job, and
Right.
if they got a movie or something that interferes with filming, yeah. But anyways, let's jump back in.
The report also mentions that the entire main cast of Euphoria is expected to return for the upcoming third season. Stars such as Zendaya, Jacob Elordi, and Sydney Sweeney will once again step into the shoes of the roles that helped their fame grow, as the twists and turns of the series developed by Sam Levinson continue to surprise viewers from all over the world. Another major factor to consider for the new episodes of Euphoria will be the time jump. While the show has followed Brew and her friends throughout high school, the third season will catch up with them after a long period of time. It remains to be seen just how long it's been since the events of the second season took place. There's no denying that Euphoria quickly became one of the most popular television series of the past decade. The second season averaged 16 million viewers across all platforms while it was airing, which turned out to be impressive numbers for the HBO production. The network might be busy with titles such as House of the Dragon and The Last of Us, but World is very interested in where the drama of Euphoria could go next. With a production schedule set by the studio, audiences are one step closer to finding out what lies ahead.
Ba-ba-ba-ba-ja-ba-ba-da.
So if you're into Euphoria, here it comes.
Yeah, and it is weird because while there wasn't so much as a cliffhanger of season 2, there was just a lot of threads that needed to be resolved. So it will be weird with the time jump to figure out, kind of like Stranger Things. It's going to be weird with such a big time jump of how we're going to be like, so wasn't that crazy what happened 3 years ago? Fuck. Anyways, is what I'm doing now.
I mean, they can do it. Done it before. They'll do it again.
Of course they can do.
We will always remake the same films. We will do more.
Yes.
More movies, more series of the same thing over and over again. We will do Euphoria season 1 in 5 years.
It's important. It's called a remake. It's important to redo things,
I
Ryan.
foresee this because I think I am getting a vision, Joe, of the next headline.
Oh, yeah? What's that then?
West Virginia City repeals the ban on fortune telling.
Oh?
This comes to us from coasttocoastam.com. Fortune tellers in West Virginia city of Huntington are now free to ply their trade without fear of the law, as the community has repealed a long-standing ban on the practice of soothsaying.
Well, finally.
According to the local media report, the prohibition on palmists, clairvoyants, phrenologists, or any other person of similar pretensions or profession was struck down at a city council meeting on Monday evening. At the gathering, City Attorney Sam Ransbottom argued for repealing the archaic regulation by explaining that it actually put the community in legal jeopardy.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Noting that in the time past since this article was adopted, the law was developed to show this is an unconstitutional prohibition on free speech. And, as such, by keeping this law in the books as it is now, we open ourselves up to a potential lawsuit. Alas, at rather staid meeting, there was no fiery response from an ardent skeptic nor an impassioned plea put forward by an area psychic. Instead, the city council simply voted 9-2 to err on the side of caution and repeal the prohibition lest Huntington wind up being taken to court by an aggrieved clairvoyant. The change in the law follows a similar decision by the Virginia city of Norfolk, which also repealed its ban on fortune tellers last month. That honestly makes sense because, yeah, I could totally see people being like, well, that's unconstitutional.
Yeah, exactly. You know, there is somebody who would take advantage of that and just be like, I'm going to sue because I just can't, you know, I'm an opportunist. Or because it's like, I don't know, if you're a fortune teller, it's really not hard to move to a different city, to just not live in that city. Like,
Yeah,
so,
you used to work at a psychic shop.
I did. It was called the Alhambra Institute.
Yes.
It was very cool.
Yeah, in Dearborn. And I remember I got like a free reading. I went down and like the lady was just kind of sitting there between clients and she was just talking to me and she's just like, come here.
Yeah,
And
come on. I'll do a reading for you.
Yeah, and she was pretty wrong.
Well, I mean, there's a reason why it doesn't exist anymore.
She said I should be like lots of money. Yeah, well, you know what? Now let me tell you, not in the cards.
Well, it's all a matter of perspective, man. You know what I mean? To someone who has no money, you might seem like you have lots of money.
Yeah, you know what? We always look on the bright side of life. Ooh, we get another article about Kevin Smith.
Yes, yes, yes. I actually wrote this one.
Yeah.
All right, you ready? Let's do it. Headline number 6.
Kevin Smith jumped on social media to share a little taste of his new Jay and Silent Bob film. This comes to us from Earthling Entertainment host Joe Wakefield.
Hello.
And Kevin Smith's social media. I have been a fan of Kevin Smith since I was in high school. My first introduction to this filmmaker was 1999's Dogma. That is the first time I saw the characters Jay and Silent Bob. In fact, I was so enamored by the characters, I went to school the next day and gushed about the film to everyone I could. That's when a friend of mine informed me that Jay and Silent Bob were in other movies, besides Dogma. In fact, Dogma was their 4th appearance. This concept blew my mind. You can do that? You can reuse characters in seemingly unrelated movies? Preposterous! But it was true, and before I knew it, I watched every Kevin Smith film, read his comics, and even watched the ill-fated Clerks cartoon, which I very much enjoyed myself.
Yeah, it was a good cartoon.
Simply put, I was hooked. Well, a bunch of years later, more than a couple films and about 1 billion podcasts, and here we are being treated to another Jay and Silent Bob adventure. This will be the character's 3rd solo outing. while the last film played on the joke of reboots by essentially redoing the original film's plot. This third chapter is said to be completely original story. Smith mentioned that his script could have been led by any two characters. He just wanted to make it Jay and Bob, and why not? The movie is set to begin filming at the end of this year and is presumed to be released sometime in 2025. But thanks to Kevin Smith's own social media, we have been treated to a little taste of what may be in store for us. The image shows what looks like the Necronomicon from the original Evil Dead film. But upon closer inspection, it is clear that the face on the cover of the book is of Silent Bob, complete with a backwards hat across the corner of the spine. Here's what Smith had to say about it. Behold the Necronomicon, the book of the dead film careers. Kidding. Kinda. It's actually called the Necrobobicon. I commissioned Night of the Living Nick graduate and Tom Savini School to unearth this evil tomb that features in the new Jay and Silent Bob flick, and Jason Mewes and I will start shooting later this year. The Necrobobicon doesn't swallow your soul, but legend has it that misuse of the book will leave the reader forever silent. Hashtag Kevin Smith, hashtag Necrobobicon, hashtag Jay and Silent Bob. And yeah, looking at the cover, it's amazing. That's hilarious. I love it's even got, little hat.
The facial hair.
Yep. You gotta love it. If you love Jay and Silent Bob, look up this post. It's great. This little cover.
Well, it's funny because I thought that was like really fun news when he posted that, and he posted that a few days ago, and nobody, like not Nerdist, not IGN, not like anybody wrote any articles about it. And I used to work for a website where I write articles, so I'm like, all right, I'll write this one.
Oh yeah, by the way, great job, dude.
Oh yeah,
that was a great article.
Appreciate it. Well, yeah, I used to get, that's why I have a few things on the YouTube of me interviewing like James Gunn, and I interviewed the Ninja Turtles, Noel Fisher, and Pete Plazik. It was the same website that I was working for at the time. But yeah, in any case, I was so surprised no one was doing one. So I wanted to, because I love Kevin Smith. It's kind of a Kevin Smith themed episode, which wasn't on purpose at all.
Hey, snooch to the nooch.
Totally. But yeah, so check out the new Jay and Silent Bob movie when it comes out. I will say Kevin did say repeatedly that it was a fun idea that could have been any characters, but he wanted it to be Jay and Bob, so it was Jay and Bob. And then you read what he just wrote, and the book curses someone to forever be silent. So we're assuming this is going to be a weird origin story of Silent Bob. Therefore, I don't think this could have been any character. Kevin, what are you doing?
Well, I think it would actually be more funny if it was Jay who got silenced because he can't shut the fuck up. So I think that would be that would actually be kind of funny.
Well, I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
Like, that would be, I could totally see like Silent Bob being like, this is actually kind of fucking nice.
Right? Jay's just silenced. Oh, well, you know what? Can you do that? Can you do that in a story? Because their dynamic is like, he's really fast and has the banter, and Silent Bob is like, really fun facial expressions and like the sidekick. So if you switch that, you have to have Silent Bob talking through the whole thing. You can't just have them both quiet.
Whenever he spoke, it was always good shit, though.
It was very profound.
I think the best one was Chasing Amy, wasn't it? When he just like goes off on him.
Yeah, well, because Chasing Amy, which was their third appearance, was actually supposed to be their last appearance. Well, initially when it was written.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. He was.
I'm glad he kept going.
Me too. And hopefully everyone will agree when this next one comes out. And you know what, guys? That brings us to the end of our show.
Aww.
Thank you so much for listening. And if you want to support the show, the best way to do it is to download this episode wherever it is you listen to this podcast.
Please, sir, can we have some downloads?
Get a hold of us on Facebook, or you can email us at earthlingentertainment@gmail.com. Facebook's definitely the better way to go if you're trying to get a hold of us, or Instagram.
We're even on TikTok.
If you want to hit up Ryan, he is the guy running the TikTok, so he could answer any of your awesome questions.
It's like Earthling Entertainment, the shortening for entertainment. ENTMNT. Entment.
All right, guys. Well, from everyone here,
See ya. Goodbye.